not cost you a high energy phosphate. You could just put in there PI comes in to make that reaction happen, all right? What are you going to do with a glucose 1-phosphate that you've just taken off of a glycogen molecule? Isomerize it to glucose 6-phosphate. And then do what? Well, let's see, if I'm a muscle cell, and this is my glycogen, I'm guaranteed going to make that molecule into fructose 6-phosphate, and then fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and then go through vessel glycolysis. And if I'm under anaerobic conditions, I'm going to take those pyruvates, make them into lactate, and then send that crap out to the liver. All right? I'm going to keep using my glycogen molecules that way. If I'm a liver cell, that glycogen I'm taking off, I'm going to take the phosphate group off the glucose 6-phosphate, make it into glucose, and then send it out to you brain cells, or you liver cells, or muscle cells, or heart cells, whatever cells who need glucose molecules, all right? The process of making a glucose molecule that's part of glycogen into glucose 6-phosphate does not cost me any ATPs. Which means what? Now, this is a quiz question on quiz 26, I'm pretty sure. If I go from glucose to a glucose that's part of glycogen, then I take it off and I go all the way down to pyruvate, how many net ATPs are produced? It is going to be a positive value. Some of you say it's still going to be 2, knowing full well that it cannot be 2 anymore. So I have to put more energy into it to get some. How many ATPs is the conversion of glucose to glycogen, then glycogen, glucose molecule being pulled off, being made into pyruvate? How many ATPs is it worth net directly? Looking at my cheat sheet, cost me 1 there, cost me another 1 to make glycogen. When I pull it off, I don't use 1 right there, glucose 6-phosphate. Oh, another one gets fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Anthony tells me fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is worth 4 ATPs, minus 1, 2, 3, plus 4, for a net of 1, all right? And if you were like Jessica earlier this morning saying, how does he do that so fast? It's because I've done this a lot of times. She can almost do it that fast right now. Am I right? Because she was writing all these things down in my office before. I had said, here's minus 1 right there, plus 1 right now. That's why I asked you about glucose 1-phosphate. It's worth 1 more ATP if the glycogen molecule is already sitting there. And I make that into glucose 1-phosphate and then go to pyruvate. How many net ATPs do I get? 3 is the correct answer, which is exactly why. I'm sorry, Corinne, when you were in high school, did you go cross country, right? Yes, that's exactly why. You guys who did athletic events, especially in high school, may have had your pasta parties the night before. You try and build up all your glycogen when you're not using them, so that when you actually do get involved in those contests, I can take those glucose molecules off the glycogen and I get 1 more ATP under those circumstances. You already invested it during the nights before when you were carb loading, which again is not necessarily really a thing. I don't know for sure about that. All right? But the idea of making those glycogen molecules, making as many glycogens as you possibly can, is an advantage. All right? And you're going to use that at times when you are not being stressed. You don't make glycogen during an athletic contest. You don't make glycogen during test time. You make the glycogen molecules before, which is why you're supposed to get a good meal and a good night's sleep before a test, so that your muscles and your liver is all glycogen up as much as they possibly can. As we will point out a little bit later on, you don't keep that much glycogen, all right? What you do is keep any fat molecules because they are worth more energy, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later on too, okay? Real fast, I'm not going to go through the actual reactions. I've talked about glucose. Fructose, galactose, and mannose are also molecules that can be isomerized to something in here as long as you have the right enzymes. So these guys are all worth the same number of ATPs as glucose molecules are. Ribose can eventually be made into glucose molecules. Some other sugars as well can be made into glucose molecules. They're all worth about 4 kilocalories per mole. They're all worth the same number of ATPs because they're going to go through basically the same processes. They just have to get isomerized to glucose or something else that's already part of glycolysis, like fructose, okay? We'll see a couple other examples of that, all right? Real fast. Just look at the screen for a second. The process of the Krebs cycle. Not mentioned yet because we've been focusing on glucose molecules first of all, because that is the preferred energy source of all of your cells. All right, at least most of them, not all of them necessarily, but most of them. Glycolysis doesn't get me that much. The process of the Krebs cycle is going to get me more. The problem with this is something, oh yes, I need the Krebs cycle for glucose molecules. I don't need it just for glucose molecules. I also need it for fat molecules and for other amino acids that can't be made into something like pyruvate. All of those guys are going to be made into that acetyl group, all right? That acetyl group is what's basically going to be metabolized in this process known as the Krebs cycle. I don't ask any questions about the Krebs cycle on quiz 26 or 25. I want you to look at it though, so when you come in on Monday, say, ah yes, I see where the carbons from a glucose molecule would end up on a citrate molecule. What would happen to them as they go through the rest of the cycle right here? What reactions are occurring each step, just like we talked about in glycolysis, all right? Pull out your half sheets, and on that half sheet of paper, write quiz 27, 11, 22, 19. Below that, write your last name, Mr. Griffith. Your last name is Griffith, not John, all right? And then next step, you may write your first name or your nickname, that's fine too, all right? Beneath that date, quiz 27 and your name, answer these 5 questions, all right? As some of you know, I kind of mentioned this before even in class. If you write down for the first question, ELF, if you write down, I think it's just basically ELF's going to piss me off. You don't get credit for it.
What is it?
You can write down anything else, and if you do write down anything else here, and you do write down ELF down here and red and Christmas shoes, you can give yourself 10 points for this quiz, right? A TV show is not a movie, folks, all right? That would be something like Charlie Brown's Special, or I think even that stupid thing by Adam Sandler, The 8 Crazy Nights, is more of a TV show, less of a movie, but I can go either way on that one. Stupid things like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. The best TV show, of course, is Olive the Other Reindeer. The best holiday song is not Christmas Shoes, nor is it Dominic the Donkey. If you put those answers down, you might as well take 2 points off of your answer. Okay? Wait a minute, Jess. You're of Italian descent. You're the one kind of person who would like that stupid song.
My dad really likes
Yeah, that's fine for his generation. It's not very cool, right? The correct songs right here would be in order. Number 3 would be Carol of the Bells. Number 2 would be Happy Xmas, War is Over by John Lennon. And number 1 would be Paul McCartney's Wonderful Christmas Time. You can put other answers down, but don't put down Christmas Shoes or Dominic the Donkey, okay? The greatest holiday movie, of course.
Die Hard.
That's not that's acceptable because it does feature Christmas prominently.
I looked it up.
Christmas Story is okay, but the funniest one is not Elf, all right, is Scrooged.
Bad Santa. He seems like a Santa.
Who said happy?
I mean,
And of course, you don't put anything down, that's fine too, but make sure you put your name on it. And make sure you put your name on it. Do not turn in a paper for anybody. 2, 4, 6, 8, 15, 16, 18, 20,
I know.
52, and turn in your Scantron sheets too, with the answers to quiz 25. If you put 26 down there, if you just leave it, that's fine. Don't bother racing it yet. You might like
I don't know. Just whatever your heart desires. I don't have a heart. I don't have a heart or a soul.
I kept seeing this black guy.
I don't know.
Oh
Oh no!
Oh yeah, and
I don't know.
and Abby says she's buying. When you said you're buying at the bar, she said you're buying at the bar.
She said only you get a picture.
No, this one.
But then you buy us. I'm buying anybody.